Hi, this is Congressman Guy Reschenthaler, and you're listening to Get Going with Guy, a conservative's guide to cutting through the propaganda of the woke left and the mainstream media, a podcast where hypocrisy has no home. Guys, as always, I'm going to give you the bottom line up front bluff, and here it is. The COVID-19 pandemic more than likely originated from the Wuhan Institute of Virology. Now, before I give you the details, I want to say this is controversial. And for reasons like this, I've been shadow banned by big tech. That's why it's important for you to subscribe and rate the podcast if you enjoy this kind of content. But let's get to the details on this. There is a method of studying disease called gain-of-function research. Gain-of-function research is where scientists manipulate genes and viruses to make it more transmissible, so presumably the scientists can study how humans would interact with a virus. This gain-of-function research is controversial. It was so controversial and dangerous that the Obama-Biden administration actually put a moratorium on that funding. However, unelected career bureaucrats like Anthony Fauci circumvented Obama's moratorium and started funneling money to an organization called EcoHealth Alliance. Now, we got to connect the dots here. EcoHealth Alliance was receiving millions of dollars, at least $3 million from the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Disease. Again, that's led by Dr. Fauci. They received $600,000 just from EcoHealth in 2019. Additionally, I just received a letter from USAID saying they sent more than $1.1 million to the organization. And where was that money going? It was going to the Wuhan Institute of Virology to study biological weapons of mass destruction, specifically airborne zoonotic diseases that originated in, wait for it, bats. We know that we were funding the Institute of Virology in Wuhan. This was what's called a BSL-4 lab, meaning a laboratory that has a safety rating of 4, which is very high, because they were conducting dangerous gain-of-function research in that lab, again, from bats. So when this virus broke out, it was coincidental that it would have broke out in Wuhan, again, the site of the BSL-4 lab, which, to add more coincidence, is run by a major general in the People's Liberation Army. That general just happens to be the general that's in charge of, wait for it, biological weapons of mass destruction. So at the beginning of this pandemic, myself and others such as Tom Cotton drew attention to this, and we were called conspiracy theorists. In fact, Peter Daszak, who is the head of EcoHealth Alliance, said that to believe this wasn't a natural caused virus was a quote-unquote conspiracy theory. The conspiracy theory is that this virus came from a wet market. Let me explain that. The bats that had this disease in nature were 1,000 miles away from Wuhan. So if you believe that this came from a wet market, you'd have to believe that a bat 1,000 miles away traveled to Wuhan, infected no other animals or people along the way, and then got to Wuhan and started to affect people where the transmissibility and the lethality of this pandemic, this virus, was 20 times what is found in the state of nature. That, my friends, is the true conspiracy theory. This is why we need more investigation into Wuhan. This is the Wuhan Institute of Virology. It's why more questions need to be asked about why the World Health Organization parroted the Chinese Communist Party talking points, why they stonewalled an investigation, while it took them until March to say that this virus spread human to human, not animal to human, as the Taiwanese and the Hong Kongers both said. I believe Taiwan said as early as December of 2019. All right, these questions need asked. I'm convinced that as more facts come out, I will be vindicated and others like Tom Cotton will too, and will show that the scientific community, unelected bureaucrats, and the Chinese Communist Party, as well as big tech, worked to suppress this information as to not embarrass both the Chinese Communist Party and unelected bureaucrats within the U.S. federal government. All right, that's it for today, gang. And as always, just call me Guy.